for so long you have these ideas, like with an entrepreneurial spirit, like you have ideas and sometimes you don't feel super confident in the ability for that idea to take off.
Mm.
And I spent a lot of time spinning with different ideas through the years. But coming out of this trip, like I really feel like this is legitimately something that can make money for me and my family and something that can scale. Like that was a really big thing. Some of the stuff that I came up with, I'm like, that's great. But I'm trading my time for the money, right? Level one,
Yeah.
like we talked about on the roof.
Yeah.
But this is the first thing that I felt like that I can scale this. I can automate this. You know, some of the ideas that I had shared with you about, you know, getting percentages from clients, bringing them some ideas to where I get to take part in that level 3 action of the coaching at level 4. Level
Yeah,
3 or
level 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of doing some arbitrage there that I'm sneaking into that higher level of being able to make money.
Yeah.
But yeah, leaving here feeling confident. And I mean, dude, you've given me so much to feel confident about.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sharing your you know, your trade secrets with me and
Yeah.
trading. Even tell me like lists,
No
like I
skate.
put these lists together, which I know that was for a
Yeah.
client.
Yeah.
And so, man, feeling like I can actually do this for once.
Yeah.
Is something that makes me feel really good.
And I would say it's like it is so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Like in the sense of like
Hanging
there's
out with
still
me?
work.
No.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely.
I just didn't know, man.
I knew that was going to be cake. Like that's
Oh, bro.
never worried about that.
That's
Never. Like I think it's more like when one, it's like the teaching side of it's so easy too. Like to me, I'm like, I think it's more conceptual of like, okay, here's the key pieces, and then you'll dive deeper into each one as you go along.
Yep.
But like these are kind of the top things that you need to hit when you're creating this business.
Yep.
But the fact that it's like, okay, I can be, you know, one anywhere in the world and be doing this, like to where it's like I schedule it and it produces, it does great, like everything like that. But starting it was like, oh my gosh, like how do I do this? Like where do I go? And like there was resources, but I was like piecing it together in so many different ways.
And I'm still gonna have that for sure, because like it's not like I came here and bought like a package and like you know, this is your step by step. This is what your scaling will be. Like you've basically put all of these tools out on the table and said, hey man, like I know you're going to figure out how to use these. But this is what I use. And then however you make this work for your system and your processes and all of that, like, go for it.
Man, I honestly, it's like the biggest thing that was a game changer for me was, I can't remember if it was Hormozy or like who, but it was talking about the packaging, to where it's like, okay, how you package this and present it to your potential like customer or like, you know, person that you're servicing. That makes all the difference. To where it's like, if I can go, okay, here's these 3 offers, like have a low tier, mid tier, high tier, to where they then, it's like going in knowing like, yeah, they're going to choose one of them, like, and you just kind of present them in that way. But and even understand, like, I think even looking back at like the first few that I created, like I was like pricing really low, like for one in my mind. Or what I know now. But then 2, it was like, I was doing weekly. Like, it was like, oh, you want 4 posts a week, you want 5 posts a week, versus like, now I go, okay, what is it for the month? Like, cause that made the shift in my mind as well of like, they want 4 posts a week. And then it was like, well, how do you quantify? Like, that feels smaller than if you go, okay, you want 20 posts a month.
But it also allows you to push things like if your client has an event like on a Friday, like you're going to post a lot more on that week than you will subsequent weeks.
Precisely.
So it allows you some flexibility in your credits that they're purchasing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did you break that down for me? You talked about how you felt like for what you know now. So what shifted in your pricing structures and your pricing models where you said, hey, you know, looking back at this, I should have charged more for this. What changed? Give me an example of that.
Yeah. I think 2 things. Like one is like knowing what other people in the industry are charging. Like as I've kind of like learned from others of like what their pricing structure is. And then, but also it's kind of like the outcome, like what this is doing for my customers, like is generating X amount. And so like it's really helpful to understand like, oh, this is actually doing this for them.
Okay.
Like, and so it's influencing their customers.
Yeah.
And so like, and then being able to even go deeper into like, okay, there's pieces that it's like I'm becoming almost like a strategic partner.
Yep.
In a way.
I feel that absolutely. Yeah. Even these guys that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a strategic partnership.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? Like, let's say that you start with this guy, and you don't have a track record. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have a track record of how good I'm going to do whenever I build this. So if I'm going to charge, a low package of $1,500 a month, but then his sales increase or his clientele increases by, 40% within the first month.
Yeah.
Do you go back to that client and you're like, hey, at what point do you change that pricing structure with them whenever you realize, I made a mistake?
Yeah. So the way that I do it is I go by in the contract. Mm-hmm. I give it a 6 month. Okay. So I go, okay, we're going to do a 6 month contract.
Okay.
And then at that end and I have like, okay, here's, and I'll even I don't even think I've shown you the contracts that I said.
Nope.
But basically I go, okay, I have here's the start of the contract. Mm-hmm. We'll do a mid revision, like, 3 months in, we'll go
a
review. And then
am I accomplishing? Am I doing good?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And which is different than the monthly analysts.
Right.
Like, so when I'm like analyzing content with them, like we're going through revision, like here's what this next month looks like. Here's, what this last month looked like as far as impressions, all that sort of stuff.
The 3 months is really more for the client.
Exactly.
Like, if they need to air any grievances.
Picture. Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey man, I haven't really been happy with XYZ. Yeah. Like, and the contract is really, so it gives you an opportunity to fix what you messed up pricing.
Yep.
It's not so like if the client's like, hey, you know what? We're 3 months in. I'm not happy with this.
Yeah. Or even the fact that it's like, okay, this isn't a great fit. Like, then it's like, okay, we're just going to go through this 6 months. And then if it's not a great fit, great. But dude, I'm telling you, I haven't even had to like resend any more contracts, because it's just continuous in all of that.
It's really, whenever you're building that relationship, and then everything comes month to month. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. I think you told me you had a client, he was killing it, like almost $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then some stuff happened with him, kind of fell off the radar a little bit. Yeah. But then he just comes back and he picks right back up.
Yep, exactly.
So, what did that look like, by the way? So like he's gone, he's not paying his monthlies anymore because
it was just a conversation.
Like, hey, I want to pick this back up.
Relationships determine results. And so it's like, and I completely understood, like, I mean, they lost $500,000 a month. Like, it was like a detrimental.
Yeah, he had to focus on that.
It was like, boom, I have to focus on the company. Like, and so, because it was like, it wasn't like a pet project or anything like that, but it was definitely some like other entrepreneurial adventure that he was trying to get into.
Yep.
And so, but he lost like 500,000, and it was like, this is a huge monthly hit that I really have to go back and focus on that. And that's where it's like, I don't want anything to sour. I could have been like, dude, no, we're sorry, man. Like, we've got this contract. We got to do this. And it's like, why, like, pushing up against that? Like, that feels stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's we talked a little bit about it. Like, we have to remember, going spiritual with it, like that the Lord will take care of us.
Absolutely.
So worry more 100%. About the relationship, less about the financial toll. Are you talented? Yes. Mm-hmm. Does the scriptures say this? Yes, the Lord's going to take care of me. So like, hey, Joe, Schmo, or whoever you are over there, man, like that stinks. That's where you're at. Don't worry about it. We'll just hit pause on contracts and payments. Like, take care of what you need to take care of. I'll be here whenever you're ready again. That was, I've never, you remember I worked at U-Haul?
Oh yeah.
So I got to meet one of the owners of U-Haul, one of the two brothers, and it was the brother that owned the truck side of it, because one brother owns all of the building storage assets units. And storage, and the other brother owns all of the trucking. And so the brother came in. I think he's in his 70s. Really, it was funny to watch, his minions walk around him, like kissing his butt, and I'm just like, I'm over here, I'm literally the lowest of the low, and I just interrupt him because it was my last day at work.
Oh my god!
And I shook his hand and I said, hey man, I just want to say thanks for creating a company that someone like me can moonlight to take care of my family. And he shook my hand and he says, hey, I told him it was my last day. He goes, I'm really glad that we could help you out. And he said, if you ever need another job, just come back. We'll still be here.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I love the confidence that he had of his company and his product. But like, even with that, with your customers, that it's like, hey man, whenever you're ready, come back. I'll still be here.
Absolutely. Like, and it really is like, I've seen that time and time again of like, God provides always. Like it's funny because it's like, I always keep going back to that verse of like, how much more does he, like, you know, he cares for the birds in the air, the flowers,
yes.
Fields. How much more does he care for you? And it's like, just having that confidence of like, yeah, God's always going to provide for us. Like, and I have to put in the work. Like, it's not like I can just sit back and just like do nothing. Like, I have to put in the work. But God will provide the opportunities and opening up your eyes to even just like, man, these relationships, like these people that I've connected with before, or like, you know, just putting this offer out, like it creates those opportunities.
Yeah. And I've been thinking too, even I've always felt limited. It's like, man, I don't have enough money to do that. And I'm finding as I'm releasing that and saying, all right, I have to be okay with letting this sit. But even my wife, Jordan, has always been way more money conscious, but she doesn't manage our budget. So even as I've been processing this week, I'm like, man, maybe I just need to hand that over to Jordan to free my headspace.
Yeah.
Like,
dude.
Jordan, you tell me what we have.
Yeah.
Like, tell me what we have. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Like, I need to hand this off to you so that I can actually focus on bringing in the money.
Yeah. And
like, if we have a financial emergency or we're spending too much, like basically just relinquish, because I've controlled a lot of it and she's helped, she kind of helps manage it. And I don't know if it would be too much on her, but she's always talked about wanting to learn. But it's like, man, if Jordan, you know, hands me, this is what we've got for XYZ, I can have my conversations now then of my business process. Like, I have to do this. Like, is this something that we have that we can pull out of our savings? Do we need to credit this? And then I do the job and we pay us back. So like and she's probably going to be listening to me whenever I'm doing this podcast. But this is going to be something, a conversation that I'm going to have with her. Like, hey, I've got to free up my headspace. Same thing with like hiring an accountant. I don't want to deal with my quarterly taxes. I'm terrible about it. State of Indiana always has to hound me. They're like, you're in violation of the agreement. Like, you have 60 days to pay your taxes. And I always have zero. Like, I was not using that LLC anyway. But even as a sole proprietor, like, I'm still going to have to do that. Like maybe I just need to relinquish some of those things, relinquish the control of what that business, of the making the money and worrying about that, which is so counterintuitive, right?
I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, there's an element of like, because I'm such a generous person.
You are a generous
like
person. I've always loved that, man. Like, you've taught me so much about that. Even and your joy with people.
Yes.
I remember whenever I met you, I'm like, this guy has like real joy. And I love it.
Oh, dude, always. Like, it's like, and to me, it's like, because that's what God is. Like, God is generous and like he multiplies. Like, and to where it's like, you know, if I split an apple, like, it's like, I get half and you get half, but there's so many seeds in that apple that can multiply from that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and so that's kind of where it's like always been my mindset and who I am. And honestly, bring Des into the business to where it's like, she's like, she is the more strict of like, no, David, you can't do that. That's not part of the contract. That's not part of this. That's not part of that. Like, she's been that person for me.
That's awesome.
And it's dude, she and I are like, it's yin and yang, man. Like, it's perfect harmony, because like, I'm always like, no, I want to give more. I want to do more. I want to do all this. And she's like, David, look at your resources. Like, look at your time, look at what you have and like what has been agreed to. And is that fair? Like, because there's times where it's like, no, do that thing. Like, that's fine. Like, but then it's also going back to like, okay, the fairness of it. And I think because anything in life, it is a partnership. Like, you are becoming one. So it's like, even your decision of being at the church, like it's a decision together. Like, when I was like stepping away from GCU, it wasn't like, it was like, oh, babe, tomorrow I'm stepping away from GCU. Like, this was a year-long conversation that we had of like, I'm struggling in this, like, we got to work it out together, like, and figure out all these different things. And it all became in God's perfect timing to where it was like, and dude, we pray every single morning, every single night together, because it's like, I know it's all this unifying sort of thing. And bringing it back to budget, it's like, we both have strengths and weaknesses. And it's like the strengths that I have are not her strengths and her strengths are not my strengths.
Yep.
And so like there's weaknesses that I have that it's like, I need her. Like God brought us together for this for a reason.
Yep.
And so it's like, if I'm limiting what's her strengths because I feel like I need to do something, like it's just not how God intended it. And so it's just perfect in that way. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sitting here thinking, kind of processing, I told you about some of the stuff that I was looking at maybe doing with modules. So tell me about how you have a client that you're doing modules with, you have clients that you do podcasts with.
Mm-hmm.
How much is determined whenever you guys sit down to talk about these things? Like how much do you sit down and process together? How much do you guys, how much is it? And it's probably just different per client. Like how much is it? Hey, David, tell me what we're going to do versus, hey, I have this vision when you sit down and talk about it. Like some of the training that I've talked about creating, this setup is not going to work. And so how much freedom do you give do the clients want per base? What has been better?
Yeah.
Kind of break that up with the creative process. Like what you have found works good.
And I think that's where like offering packages helps so much, because then it gives a scope of like the work. And I know we've talked a little bit about pricing structure and things like that. And so that's kind of where it's like, I really do feel like having packages helps so much give, like I said, scope to what the work is. And so, and then what we can kind of flex within what that is. And so it's like, it just gives an avenue, like, to where it's like, okay, here's the train tracks, you're the train, like, and we'll just kind of like go within this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So thinking of like, I have a client that is like strictly podcast, and it's like, okay, but they still need social stuff. So it's like, I'll kind of hybrid the package for them in that way.
Okay.
Or if it's strictly social, like, if it's strictly social, like I'll just go, okay, here's the amount of hours that we'll do per week or per month. And then we will figure out like, okay, are we going to just shoot for an hour? And it's going to be, thinking about like an esthetician or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's like, okay, we get an hour a month, and in that hour, we're going to schedule, like, we're going to create a whole bunch of content. And so it's like either we'll like figure out like a plan of like, okay, these sorts of things, or it's like, okay. And so that's the way it's like, you kind of like figure out what that hour is going to look like to maximize it. And then from there go and then produce the content. And so then it's like it's because it is both, you have pre and post production, and then you also have your production side of it. So it's like, they might just see 1 hour, but it's like you have all the prep and all the post. And so it's like, that's kind of where I go into the pricing structure of like, okay, this 1 hour, you might just see 1 hour here, but in order to create like 20 pieces of content from that, like it's going to be all this amount of stuff. And so that's kind of where I go into the pricing structure of like having your different packages and then how many times you need to be visiting a month or, whatever. So yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if that kind of helped a
little
bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Just how you work with your clients with those things.
Exactly.
I didn't have anything that branched off of that. Give me another one. You lead this next one.
Yeah. So like in that same vein, a lot of people talk about niching down of like, oh, I need to have like these types of clients. Like, and what's your thoughts with that? Like, yeah.
Well, you talk about like arbitrage, right? It's going to make it way easier. Like doing arbitrage, if you're only doing fitness influencers, bro, you've got it down. Like, you know what the workouts are going to look like. Like you get an idea of the scheduling of it. Like if I have 4 influencers that I'm working with, dude, I'll be at your gym 9:00. I know I'm there from 9 to 10. I know the content that, as long as I have the workouts before, like I know what I'm prepped to capture. Done after an hour capturing all of it. I've got a 30-minute drive to the next place. I'm literally doing rinse and repeat. And then after that, especially if you can get them all, it's assembly line work, right? And so that's where I think that would be a huge benefit, but it's not as much fun. Like every marketing agency that I've worked with, they say their number one favorite thing is getting to work with different industries.
Exactly.
And so like, that's where I would say like, no, man, Well, number one, if you stay in that same vein, your ability to make connections is going to be lessened. And so, working with a fitness influencer, working with a financial advisor, working with an esthetician, working with a church, working with a city, like all of those things are going to really create some cool relationships, but I think probably some cool overlap too. Like the financial advisor that I'm talking to and the fitness guy both meet separately. And so both of these guys are like, hey, we think Daniel can do this. Like separately, they're talking about, positive things. They're building up what I'm getting ready to jump into. Which, builds it up in me. Like I can do this. Like, absolutely. I can do this.
Absolutely.
And so, even with them wanting to kind of push me off the ledge, like, hey, whenever you get back from Arizona, we're going to do this. Like you go learn what you need to learn in Arizona. And then you and I are going to sit down. You tell me what I need to pay to do this. And then I'm going to write you a check and we're going to freaking do it. And that's going to be that. So anyway, I think doing as many different clients as possible is definitely in benefit.
100%. And that's what I would like. It's really funny that you say that because like, I think that's to me, it goes with my personality. Like I have so many different disciplines and like things that I love. And it's just for my personality, like working with all these different types of clients, like this is what I want, and like, and it's kind of what I've talked. I can't remember if I talked to you about this, but where it's like, I shape my life. Like I have a vision of what I want my life to look like. And then I shape what I do around that. Versus like, oh, I want to be a worship pastor and then that's my life. Like, it's like, no, I want time freedom. I want financial freedom. I want like time with my wife. Like those are the things that I value. And like some people, it's like, I want location freedom. Like I want to be able to travel and do all these sorts of things. It's like, if that's what you want, shape your life around that and then figure out what you want to do.
Like, man, the podcast that we recorded 2 days ago now. Him talk. It was such a good podcast. Like him talking about number one, he talked about energies, which this really hit me. He said kids notice energy. Like, and so if you say, for example, like family time is really important. But every time you're with your family, you're on your phone.
Oh, dude.
Kids know. Like, kids can sense that.
They know your values.
And then also he talked about, having your tools on the table, and you hit on this a little bit. Having your tools on the table, but over time your tools are going to change. They're going to get broken. You're not going to want to use them anymore, because you're calloused. So that'll preach, like calloused heart. Like I'm struggling with worship leading right now because it's just, I've done it so much. It's been so much rinse and repeat. I don't feel like there's anywhere to go. So I really want to set that tool down. Just let it breathe for a little bit. Let the calluses come off my hands. Or heart, really, if we're getting spiritual with that. But I also struggled with goals. So my whole goal, I remember I was sitting in the pool. I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, and it had been 6th grade because I was learning how to play guitar that summer. And I remember telling the Lord, like, Lord, if you would just help me to learn guitar really quick, like I'll do it for you. I'll always do it for you. And then in 7th grade, I decided I wanted to go into ministry. And so that was my goal, right? And then I wanted to build a building. I wanted to be at a growing church. But I did all of that by the time I was 29. And then what? And so like I realized my goal, and I've really been wrestling through that really for 5 years. Like, what am I doing? Where am I going? How do I make money? How do I exit? So like for the last 5 years, I've been trying to get people to hire me. Well, like the trade for time sucks. And I'm like, I can't. So I've said no to jobs because the trade for time is not worth it because I can't take care of my family, right? So I'm learning my values. Like, what do I want? How do I want to shape my life? Well, it's not going to help me take care of my family. It's not in the right location. I know location's not as important if I can get the taken care of higher. Right. So like now I can have the money to buy to do a PPL. Now I can have the money to own my own airplane. Now I can have the money to have a home that I can have an airstrip on it that I can, you know what I mean? Like this vast amount of freedom. I don't have to rely on someone else to do that. And I have skills. So over the last, really it's been 6 to 8 months since I said no to that job offer to my home church. I really have felt like, there's not a place that's ever going to give me what I want. So what do I need to set my goal to? And so for right now, something that I decided on this trip is it just has to be a number. Like I'm going to put the number out there that feels ridiculous, sharing the goal out loud, $750,000 in 1 year. Like but now that I've said it and like I came up with this idea for the esthetician, I'm like, well, that might actually be easier than I thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's still a goal, and goals need to change and grow.
Yeah.
You know, now that was a financial goal, but within that financial goal is going to allow me to create something over here for my family. So we can live where we want. I can go to my kids' programs. I can help out my kids' schools.
Yeah.
I can give my time away now. Like now this church doesn't have to hire me.
Yeah.
Now it also gives me even more freedom, because if someone's trading hours, they're going to want specific things from you.
Yeah.
But if I'm giving my time or giving my resources that I have, there's a lot more freedom in that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not counting on them for a paycheck. I can say no.
Yeah.
But I can also say yes. And so, that vision for my life is kind of the same thing, that I want that freedom. But my big thing is, it takes a lot. I've got 3 kids. It takes a lot of money to do that well.
Kids. Yeah.
Yep. And so, but also teaching them, like, this is what it looks like. This is what the real hustle looks like. Like, life is not going to school, learning something, and then getting a job for the next 40, 50 years. Like, that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And so how can I teach my kids the hustle? How can I build a relationship with my kids that they want to hang out with me whenever I'm older? So, me being exhausted mentally and heart exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like going to work today. I didn't accomplish anything. Yeah. Like, and because I didn't get the lift up that the Lord gives us from doing good work, like mowing your yard, Midwest, feels great. Like, you can see your work, you can see what you've done, you see the fruit of your labor. But like, whenever you go to some place and there's no fruit, like, it drains you.
Absolutely.
And also to not even have control of that.
Yeah.
So you may be working and producing, but someone else is getting all the work, which is what I talked to you about with like a previous job that I had. That, man, I just worked so hard and I gave so much, and I have nothing to give for it.
Yeah.
I have no return. I have no like thankfulness, like nothing.
Yeah.
And so, like, making sure that doesn't happen again. And if I don't get the resource, if I don't get the benefit, at least my kids would get it. So you build up a business and you wait for years and years and years for that Airbnb to get paid off, right? And then your kid turns 18, it's paid off.
Yeah.
Hey, you can go live in it.
Yeah.
You can go to, like, do your college thing or go do your trade thing, or just use this and manage this as your business. Yeah. And now you're going to charge your friends money, and you're going to start paying me back for the house that you're buying, but you're not even paying for it.
Yeah.
Your friends are.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Like, that would be the benefit of going to school. If they get good scholarships, you bought a house down in like Lafayette at Purdue, the kids move in, and it's like, no, now you're paying me back for the house, and this is going to be your asset to manage.
Yeah.
Or sell, or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
So, it's really shifting how the American mindset, because, man, the oligarchs, for lack of a better word.
Oh, that's the worst word.
I know. But like, they figured it out a long time ago, right? Like that. No. Listen to where I'm going on this. That's why we have schools set up the way we have it set up. It's because they needed factory workers. And so that's why you have the bell. That's why you have the desks. Like, that's everything that they did there was set up to produce factory workers.
It's funny because, like, I think we can look back and like claim something as something.
You don't think that was intentional?
God, no.
Really?
Like,
I guess it's possible.
It was a production of it. Like, because it's like, like, I mean, but it wasn't as though it was like, it wasn't intentional. It was a byproduct. Yes.
But someone did use that to
their advantage.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, I mean, honestly, it's like, to say that was an American concept, like, hell no. Like, dude, Japan was like all factory workers. That's kind of Toyota, like, came from that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, so it's like, to say that this was an American made concept.
Yeah. But but for them to see, but it's seeing opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing where you really make money, is you see an opportunity and you move it. So if we can train now we can use this to our advantage. Because this is how we're using it. Now we tell them they go to college.
Yeah.
Like, you continue them in that, and you have your freedom, like, liberate yourself. Because we see this in the colleges right now.
Even the college thing, it wasn't made in America.
No, it wasn't. Like, but I'm saying they're using that to their advantage.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't. And to me, I think that the thing that I
love where we're going with this right now. By the way, it's amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, it's like, I think that's the mentality that people have, is like victim blaming. Like,
you think that's what's happening with that?
100%.
Even whenever you see all of the money that's being funneled into the colleges,
like that, absolutely,
that there wasn't something nefarious happening with that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely support and like things that it's like, like, you want federal funding in order to keep things going because this is the system that's been created.
Right.
But it's not like this is where it's hard. Is like, yes, there's systems in places and because it needs to be there.
Right.
Because people and kids, and this is, dude, it's getting so deep.
I love this.
But it's like, I think it's mainly because like children aren't given this idea of like, you can create your future. It's, I need to go work in these places to do these things in order to achieve this thing. And it's like, no, like God's given you all these sorts of ideas and visions and things like that. But it's like, you're literally like, because this is the only option, like people are given this option. And so it's like, given the option between something that's structured and versus unstructured,
right?
People want to choose the structured thing.
We're sheep, man.
No, we're making choices. We're making choices, and these people are giving us choices. Like, okay.
Who are these people?
The college, the professors, like the deans, like, and that's to me, like, I say these people because it's like, yeah, there's people that are in charge of these things,
right?
And they know what they're doing is to educate. Like that's where they came from, their passion and ideas.
And I will say, like, the number one marker of being able to get yourself out of poverty is to go to college, because it opens you up to people, ideas, concepts, education, and a piece of paper that states, doesn't matter where I came from. Yeah. Like, this is, it's not, I don't want to say it's an identity, but it allows you to slide something across the table and say, I'm your guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
To start, like if you, especially if you come from nothing, that is a great place to start.
And athletics have really enhanced it.
Yep.
Like, to where it's like, okay, we can have this person on this school. We need funding for that though. And so that's kind of where it's like, but to say that it was all structured by this oligarch.
Yeah, you're right. That was a pretty broad statement. However, but let's go back to some spirituality type stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever read This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti?
No.
Okay, please do.
Okay.
It was a great book.
Okay.
It's a fiction. And the idea of it is, there's this man who moves into a town, and there's some like really weird, nefarious stuff going on. And it shows the spiritual battle that this man's going on. Like whenever it describes people being oppressed by demons, it talks about like whenever he's praying for specific people, like the talons of the demon are being like lifted out of the person's shoulders, and it like shows how it's moving them around. And you get like to the end of the book and you're at the final boss, for lack of a better word. That's not really what it is, but that's what it feels like. And they call him the story. I think they call him like the bad man or the dark man or something like that.
Yeah.
And he is possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
But like through the whole book, like you see this network of strings. And this man is the puppet master.
Yeah.
And he's obviously supposed to be not a parallel, well, maybe a parallel to Satan. But like we forget that like our power, like our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rules, principalities, and darkness. Like there is a puppet master, because this is this. And what I mean when I say that, it doesn't mean that he's literally taking someone's hand and he's making them sign it. Like, because he's had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years to practice. Like, he just knows how to move things without allowing us to know he's moving things. And so like, it's where, because the spiritual realm isn't something we understand. Like, I think quantum physics has something to do with that. I think, all of these things that we have separated into different disciplines are all the same discipline. We just can't grasp it. I think that there is something to how we have progressed as a society to where we are, and not that Satan did it by any means, but that he has the ability to just, hey, you should do that. Like those moments where you hear whispers, like, and there's somebody that talks about like the self, like, and we believe Holy Spirit speaks. Yeah. But we also know that we have our own sinful nature. Yeah. But like our sinful, like we can be influenced. And so it's that one little, maybe they didn't listen to the whisper that time. Yeah. And not everyone's oppressed. Yeah. Like, but all of us have something that
I would say everybody has an oppression in some sense.
Right. But it doesn't always take it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always take that. Sometimes it's just because
it's all free will.
Yeah. Like, and sometimes it's just because that's my bent. Yeah. Like that's the decision I'm going to make. Yeah. And I think, the evil one knowing that allows that, like, just allows those things to cascade, and he can see more than we can see. Now, he's not omnipresent and omniscient, but he does have a vantage point. So anyway, wow, I've really went crazy.
I love it. I love it.
But, yeah. All that.
And I think that, to me, I think it ties back into business in the sense of like, there's always going to be this idea that like, yeah, I can go get a job, do this thing. And that's level one. Yes. Like, but then that's the chain that you're tied to.
But level one is kind of victim mindset.
It is. It really, truly is.
Yep.
And that's kind of where it's like, God has given us so much time and freedom, or like all this freedom. And this idea that like, yeah, I have a brain that I can use to like do these things. Yes. God's given me gifts to use to honor other people and help and serve. And that's, to me, like, I talk about this all the time, but it's like my whole life, and almost going back to like your idea of like, oh, I need to be, God, give, like, I can pray to learn the guitar, and I will use this for your glory and all the things. And it's like, yeah, that's a great like purpose, but your calling is so much bigger than that. And I think that even ties back into that podcast we were watching.
Yeah, dude, that was a
live,
great
amazing
podcast.
And it's like, because it's like, I think there's so much of bigger purpose than just one thing.
Yes,
like,
and it changes.
Yes,
your
absolutely.
purpose for a season. Like, I truly believe that the Lord used where I was in life to help the refinery be where it is today.
Yes.
And that frustrates me some, but also because I believe in a larger thing than my own kingdom. And I'm part of God's kingdom. That, okay, I'm okay with that. Yeah. But Lord, like, don't do that to me again, because like that's not where I'm at. Like I have other things that I also, but like, please continue to use me. But you also know, Lord, like, I need to take care of my family. That's number one. Like, I want to be sure that,
But has he not? Like, that's the
and he always has. Like, and like, I look around all the time, because like we're so blessed to own a home. Like, I was talking to my one of my friends that I grew up with, and he makes good money. He's in the six figures, but he can't afford a home in Dallas. Yeah. And it's just like, that's crazy to me that I'm making so much less than him. Yeah. And, the Lord has allowed us to have what we have. So, like, I never want to forget that. Yes. But what I have always hated, and maybe it was just the Lord teaching me, like, I hated that I didn't feel like I was in control of my own destiny. And like, I'm still not. Yeah. But at least I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Like, whereas before I wasn't really thinking about it. Yeah. It was just, hey, I want to be a worship leader, and like, this is what I'm doing. And
dude, and that's, bro, even time back into school, it's like that element of like, because you don't have a vision for your life. Like, I have ideas,
it was too small.
Dreams. Yeah. I have ideas, dreams, things like that. But it's like, it literally is like God going like, no, like, you've got something bigger in you. Like, you've got something bigger. And like, and people will follow a path because it's been proven. And so then and even just you coming here and talking with me, you're like, I now can see the path more clearly. Yep. Like, but you're going to create your own way of doing things.
Well, like my favorite, here we go. My favorite passage, Proverbs 16:9 says, a man chooses his path, but the Lord directs his steps.
Yes. Yes.
And so like, I'm on a path, and like, mine's going to be different than yours. And I need to trust the Lord to give me those ideas and give me those steps, because the Lord directs those, right? Yeah. Like, was that me that came up with the idea for talking to the system? Like, this might not even happen. Yeah. But like, was that me, or was that the Lord, like,
prompting?
I don't know. Yeah. Like, if you're really connected with the Holy Spirit, it is, it should be the same. Like, it should just be the voice that you're hearing.
Absolutely. And that's, dude, even with the enemy, like, it literally is like, who are you listening to? Yeah. Like, I love, it's like an old like proverb of like the wolves, like the dark wolf,
whichever one
wolf,
you feed.
Yeah. Is the one that you listen, like, is your director of your life. Yep. And so it's like, whichever one you feed. And that's where, to me, even thinking about the positivity thing, like, I'm such a positive, generous person because that's the wolf that I feed. Like, I don't
that
feed.
Thing's fat.
Dude, exactly.
That thing's fat.
It's chunky, baby. It's chunky.
Awesome.
Because it is like, every morning I wake up and I'm like, God, I'm just so grateful for this day. Like, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for this life that you've given us. And it's like, that's the wolf that I'm continuously feeding. Because it's like, I could feed some of the darkness, like things like that. But it's like, why? Like, why would I choose to feed that one? Yep. When this one has given me so much better of a life? Like, and if anything of that, it's because of the Lord. Like, the Lord has given me this life. Like it's turning back and following him, like all these, thanking him, you know, like it's all of that. And so that's kind of where it's like, and even going to a school, like, it's like, God, I'm thankful that I can go to this school to learn these things, because it's like each step is that in the next step.
You know, talking about raising kids, you know, we're talking about going to college, changing your life, changing the trajectory. I think the mistake that a lot of parents make, that I don't want to make if our kids go to school, if they choose to go to school, I'm not going to make them do that. Like if I want to guide them in it, but letting them know, like, the degree is not the path. Like the degree is not the job. The degree is a tool. And what I think so many students make the mistake of is, I have the degree, it's my tool. Like, now I can go work. Now I can go work for NIPSCO. Now I can go work for Planning Center. Now I can, like, because I have a degree. And like, yes, does that help? Because now you have a degree, you can do an internship at Marathon Oil Refinery. Like, now I've made connection, because it's about connections with people. Now I've made connections with people. They know that I'm the type of person that they want to hire. So whenever that electrician position comes open, hey, Daniel, we'd love to hire you for that. So they've groomed me, like, to teach me what they want me to know. I have my degree. It opened a door. That's not where it stops. Like, now I'm level 1. Boom. I have entered into level 1 because of all of this. Now we have to teach our kids, like, how do I take what I'm learning over the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years at this place, and how do I incorporate that into, you know, what's next? But also, don't just focus on this one thing. Like, this is why we need to have well-rounded children. Like, don't just focus on being the electrician. Like, what else are you offering? Like, are you a community coach, like, for a baseball team? Like, don't just go home. Like, don't just go work, make a bunch of money, and then sit at home and get fat and happy. Like, that's never going to produce the results that you want for your life. Like, you will get to the end of your life after working these jobs, and it won't just be that one for 40 years. Don't get to the end of your life and get to retirement and say, man, like, I didn't do what I wish that person did. And it's risk too. Like, it's risky, these conversations that you and I have been having. But it's risky in the sense of, I don't know where the money's going to come from necessarily. But again, if we trust Scripture, like, it's really not risky. Like, because what's the worst thing that happens? What's the worst thing that happens? You don't pay your bills. Like, did that kill you? Like, you know, I have to give my car to the bank because I couldn't make the payment. Did that kill me? Is it embarrassing? Does it hurt your credit score? Absolutely. But, like, that was it. That's something I told, side note, because this is also where I use the word oligarchs, and I don't want to say that, but, like, there are systems that prey on our morality. Here's an example. Here's an example. So I get my home paid off, and I decide, you know, I'm gonna take money out. I'm gonna do a home equity loan, pull out a second mortgage on this home, and I'm gonna build a house somewhere else. Well, that house, now I owe money back on my first home, right? But I own the other one free and clear, no paper, because I paid cash for it. If I decide, yeah, you know what? Like, I don't think that I think I'm just going to give this back to the bank. Like, I don't want this house. Like, now, is that wise financial stewardship? No, but there is an agreement that's written that says, if I don't pay this, the bank gets the house. Like, that's the agreement. It's not morally wrong, because you made an agreement with the bank. And I remember talking to my dad about it, and he's like, that doesn't feel right. I'm like, no, Dad. Like, this is an agreement that I made with the bank, that if I don't pay it, this is the asset they get in payment for the debt. It's an agreement, but the bank preys on that because they make you, like my dad, he's rich dad, poor dad, right? Like, that is the poor dad because he worked a system, followed the rules, and he's got money and he retired, but he could have done more. And so he's looking at it from that viewpoint of, hey, you know, I said I was going to pay this. He's not looking at the other side of the contract, but the bank's banking on him.
It's risk analysis.
The bank's banking on him to make the decision that, like, no, this is wrong. Like, I said I'd pay it back and I didn't. That is one side of the contract. The other side of the contract that says, hey, if you can't pay this back, don't pay this back. Then we just get the asset. So technically, you could go build a house on a home equity credit, a line of or just a home equity loan, and then just not pay it back. And I still, because you owned this house, you're just trading assets now with the bank.
Exactly.
Like, I'm trading this home for that one. Does that hurt your credit score? Yes. Will that bank loan to you soon? No. But again, because the bank may not get back what you borrowed.
Exactly.
You know, that's the gamble the bank made. Yes. They decided to take on that risk, which is why that lowers my credit score, because they're telling their other banking buddies, hey, don't trust this guy. He's not going to do what he says. So anyway, it's very interesting.
The free will that we have. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's like, I'm just grateful. Cause like, honestly, it's like, not that I've have family in other countries. Like I have friends in other countries, and I'm like, the abilities and the lack of like, the amount of immediacy that we have here is incredible. Yeah. Like, cause it's like, any other place, it's like any other country, any other thing like that. It takes so much to do what we get to do here. Yeah. Like, even opening a business, like, it's crazy.
I can just go and do it.
Yes.
Like I don't have to file paperwork. Yeah. That's the beauty of sole proprietorship. Now there is a point, like you told me that you have an LLC and it helps with stuff.
S Corp.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah. But you don't have to do that.
No.
Like I can just go and again, like we were talking about whenever Trump and Hillary were debating, and she was like, you haven't paid taxes in forever. And he's like, well, it's because I don't have to, because that's the rules that you wrote.
Yep.
And so it's like, there are benefits to doing things differently. Like you do get more benefits as,
and it's protection too. Like, cause that's kind of where I this is a whole other sort of conversation we could have, but it's like, there's like an LLC protects your assets.
Right. As long as you don't give the courts the ability to pierce the corporate veil.
Yeah.
Because that's what my brother's going through, separating business from my other brother.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, are you 100% sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that my other brother set up this corporation in a way that if he went to court with you, or the bank went to court with you, that they couldn't pierce the corporate veil? Are you 100% sure? Because if you're not, you need to go hire a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it's, yes, you can pierce the corporate veil, and there are ways that can do that.
There's always.
But it does, but if you follow the rules, it makes it almost impossible.
Yeah.
But all it takes is like, you use the wrong card once, or like whatever it is, and you didn't file your paperwork correctly. Yeah. So again, that's where the oligarchs, these people protecting I don't know what else to call them. I don't know what else to call them.
Who do you, like, who's coming at you like this,
No.
No.
Well, like, this is where the banks are going to, because they want their money. They're protecting their assets.
Yeah.
Money is power. Yeah. People want to keep their money so they have power. Like they want their money, so they're going to come after it.
Yeah.
But that's why they write things the way that they do. They're going to look for the excuses to get their money back.
Who's they?
The banks, or, whoever it is. BlackRock. So, but what assets, like, what are some things, kind of talk into that a little bit, because, again, I had talked to a guy who was like, I just do sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
And he might have, because he's a psychologist, like he might have, what's that called? Whenever they, malpractice insurance, like he's got that, and that protects him, so he doesn't really have to separate because of that, because they'll just.
But even then, it's like it can only get you so far,
right?
And then it's like, then they can come after your assets,
right?
And so that's kind of where it's like, to me, I'm like, I just want as much as I can protect what I have over here, and have things protected over here, like, and that way it's cut and dry.
Yep.
Like,
these are two separate entities, like,
precisely.
And that goes into taking care of your family.
Exactly. Like, even talking about, like, as we've kind of talked through, like, building out, rentals and stuff. It's like each one is going to have its like two different LLCs, because there's the management company, but then also the company that purchases the home
and takes the money from the
exactly. And so it's like, there's a little levers of different things, but it's like, say for instance, somebody in the home like gets burnt or something like that, like, and then they come after you, like they can come after the management company, but they can't come after the home, because those are two separate.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like
this is the kind of stuff they need to teach in school.
Yes. Oh, dude, 100%.
Blows my mind they don't.
I know. Yeah.
But it's because the oligarchs.
Shut up, dude. No, like, they're just trying to get you from A to B. Like, it's like, because they don't know, like, it's creating systems around things. And it's like, and that's where it's like, man, like, okay, you're wanting to become a worship pastor. You don't need to know what a rental cost and like an LLC needs to do with
that.
But
for lower education, their job is to expose you to the world. Like, that's why you're learning, like, social studies. That's why it is their job that's why you had home ec. Like, their job is to lay everything out in front of you. College is the one track.
And
so that's where I'm saying, like, they need to teach you this stuff. At least sprinkle it. Like I did a civics course for my kid at school, which was so fun. Like teaching them this is money, like this is how money moves. This is how, like I wanted to teach the course because I'm like, these kids need this.
Yeah.
Like they need to understand like what taxes are. So like I paid all of the kids money for working in my pizza shop.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of tax. I took 20%, which is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
know?
Oh, very much so.
And so it's like I took 20% of their money, gave them $5. I took one away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys paid taxes, but now we can take all this money and now you guys can vote on things for how I spend this money.
Exactly.
Again, the beauty of living in America.
Oh my gosh.
Because not everywhere is like that.
No, not even.
So
yeah. No, it really is. And that's kind of where it's like a lot of times as parents, and again, I'm becoming a dad.
Yes, you are.
Like, but it's like, I think we expect the school system to teach everything, but it's like, I have a personal responsibility to my children.
And I think we miss that, man.
100%.
Because coming from Gen X parents, not all, because they were in the trenches of level 1,
dude.
Like that's coming out of the factory worker era. You know,
and they just want to get drunk and do the thing and like and punch in, punch out. Like that's where it's like, yeah, great. Like that's my life. Like these kids, they'll go and do their things. They'll run on their own, like do all that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and every single one, like even millennial parents, like it's like the soft parenting thing of like, my parents were really harsh on me, so I want to be soft. And then you get these soft kids that are like, no, oligarchy, all this shit. And it's like,
wait, what are you saying? What are you saying?
I'm a victim.
Like, but really, like, but like we see that. Like, we see, give me my medal.
Exactly this, all this stuff.
So yeah, it's great pulling out like personal responsibility. And that's kind of
where
it's
like I'm seeing so much with Gen Z too, where it is like they're like, man, a soft life isn't the best life. Like I
dude, that quote that we talked about, like the previous generation, it was hard on their bodies but easy on their souls, and this has been hard on our souls but easy on our bodies,
and they're feeling that, so they're like, okay, I can go back into trad stuff and like, you know, all this sort. Exactly.
Well, the other thing that's crazy too, like if people would stop, if the vast majority of Americans would stop doing dual income and go back to single, it will change the economy. Because now because we can't afford it. So now that, like, why can people pay $80,000 for something that cost $40,000 20 years ago?
Exactly.
It's not just inflation.
No,
it's because people pay it.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Precisely.
They will find a cheaper way to make it.
Yes.
They will use different.
Dude, it's a 2-lane road, bro.
It is.
Like,
but it's hard to get it back.
I can't blame them.
Yeah.
Because I'm part of that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's again, that
because we make more money now than we've ever made.
Ever made. And like, I mean, dude, we can go on forever.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
All right, bringing it back. Did you you had a list of questions? Is there anything else?
No, I mean, dude, we've been going.
I think it's been an hour.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
exactly. That's
boom,
59 minutes. I gotta use the bathroom anyway.
Yeah,
but this was a good discussion.
Oh yeah,
it was a good time being here with you.
I think there's a lot that it's like. It really comes down to your freedom, your choice, and a vision for your life. Yeah.
And that's what I'm still working through. Like, what does that vision look like? We do a vision retreat. Every year, my wife and I, we do a vision retreat, go out, say, hey, look at each of the kids. Like, what do they need to work on? What's something we've been struggling with? Like, what do we need to build inside of them? So we always start with like, what do we have for the kids in our marriage and our family? And then we say, how do we finance that? Because it takes money. Like it takes an investment. And sometimes that investment is time. So like, I really wanted to make sure that I was taking one-on-one time with the kids, because whenever you have multiple kids, sometimes there's a kid that's left out, or like, it's easy. It happens, schedules. Yes. And so, we set a budget. It was 3 years ago that we decided to do this, $20 a week per kid. Yeah. That on Friday, I pick them up from school. And we just go do something. Now, I stopped doing it for a little bit because the kids became focused on the money side of it. Like, how can we spend this?
Spend this $20.
Yeah. And so it's like, because sometimes we go do a Lego set and like get coffee or whatever. Yeah. And like it became about the thing. And I'm like, gosh, they're missing it. Like they're missing that it's actually just time together. And so from now on, I'm just telling them that I don't have any money to do anything. Yeah. And if I happen to spend some, and, you know, they're kids, they're not going to process all of that. Like I'm just going to tell them, we don't have any money set aside to spend. Yeah. And then if I decide to spend money, it's because I decided to. Exactly. You know? And then later it's going to be like, oh yeah, I just stopped telling you guys we had money because I was tired of you guys asking to buy things. Because our kids have so much junk. Like Jordan's, she said this weekend she was going to go through and like today spend time pulling out broken toys and like all this other stuff. But like kids need less than we think they need. Yep.
Yeah.
But going back to the vision things, like I'm working on, I have a dollar amount set just because that's an easy goal. Like it's very clear and defined.
Yeah.
There's so much between where I'm at and that, and like, how do I get there?
Go down a whole thing with that.
Yeah. Because it's not about I was like, what's an easy way that I can throw a dollar and say, that's an easy marker. Yeah. Okay. I can measure that. Now there's a whole lot between this and that way because it feels so shallow and thin just to throw a dollar amount out. But again, it's a really good marker to say, okay, I reached, that is a way that I can absolutely take care of my family. Like we don't have to think about things. Like we can live a really amazing, and we'd still live like a middle-class life, even at the price point that I put out.
Here's just sorry to interrupt. I was like, dude, thinking of that dollar amount, it made me immediately think of Walter White in Breaking Bad.
Okay.
When he's like, he finds out he has cancer, and he's like, this is the amount that I need in order to set my family up. And then he makes all these decisions that like
he becomes the friggin' meth king.
Yes. And it's like, dude, how much further like did he go than where he wanted his like 600, I think it was like $642,000.
Yeah. And he ended up just he's hundreds of millions.
Dude, hundreds of millions. But it's like, and that's the thing. It's like you have this idea of what it is, but then along the plane ride, you're like,
what's guiding you? What's the guardrails to that?
Exactly.
Well, and even there's a movie with Tom Cruise that he did the same thing. He was a drug runner for the cartels. True story.
Oh, the American
something.
Yeah.
Anyway, he
no.
But even in that, like he just wanted to take care of his family. Yeah. So I know that there's guardrails that need to be there.
And again, why I say having a vision of what do I want this, because that dollar amount is arbitrary.
Because it will probably, if you're successful, it can absolutely be more than that.
Exactly. And that's kind of even, I mean, my very first business that I started was an IT company called Apple Tree IT. And like, dude, I had this dream of like, dude, when I make my first $100,000, I'm going to get a like, I really truly wanted like a Lamborghini.
Oh
like,
man.
And like,
that's not enough money.
I know. I'm like, I'm going to finance the thing for sure.
Oh, okay.
No, dude, this is what's crazy though. It's like you buy a used one.
Oh, that's true.
Like, and it's like 65 to 70.
Yep.
Like, so I was like, dude, I get my 100K. Boom.
Did you ever make the 100K on that business?
Oh, I made more. Yeah.
Okay.
But
nice.
I never bought that because again,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter to me. And it's like, and it was like, okay, these are these dreams that we set out for ourselves.
Yep.
But it's like, if that's not what I want my life to look like, like, I'm like, yeah, it's just crazy.
I don't want to drive a Lamborghini. Like the boys are all about, I don't know. It's funny. I love cars, but I don't know that I'd spend a ton of money on them if I had a bunch of money.
Oh, dude. And that's where and honestly, it's like, I would rather rent one.
Yeah.
And like,
or just have one that I like.
Yes, exactly.
Like, and then it's a one bay in a garage.
Yeah.
Like, I used to
even thinking about upkeeping a sports car like that, like you have to have the whole like power battery thing. Like,
oh yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
I'm like, just, I'll rent one.
It'll be great.
That. Yeah. And then
find a friend that has one.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that's kind of where I was like, even having that number, it's like, you make more than that, but it's like, it's a good goal to set. But again, I think about like, what do I want my life to look like? Cause you can be working 80 hours a week and making that 775.
Yep.
Like, but that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And so then it goes, okay, what's the value? Cause it might be that it's like, we're great at 300.
Yeah.
Like, because, and that's to me what it is. I'm very happy with where we're at.
Yeah.
Because I know like I want time with my wife. I want like time freedom.
Yep.
I want these things. And so anything beyond that is a blessing that we're investing in other things to later down the road have all these other things like financial freedom things. But it's like what we live on is so much less than what this like lofty thing was.
Yeah.
Because the dream.
That's not what you actually needed.
That exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think keeping that in perspective is going to be really important.
Yeah.
Especially as, like with some of the things, honestly, thinking about the money, I think is important because you, with the American, whatever that was called with Tom Cruise, like he started making so much money that he didn't have a plan. Like, and now he's like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So like it's showing him putting it in bags because he's also money laundering.
Yeah.
But like he's putting money in bags. Yeah. Like he's just stuffing it places because he doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
And so like, that's where it's like, okay, I need to have at least a plan of how do we manage this? Yeah. Like, what are some goals whenever we get that money? Like, do we just put it in the bank? Do we in case we
save,
in case we need it.
Like,
do we just pound it all on debt in case this stuff doesn't it doesn't follow through? Like, how much do we need in there?
So like with that too. Like,
just trying to chew through, like, how do we do this? Like, man, I made $150,000. Like, and it's one of those things, like, if you make the money quick, it's a little bit easier to decide. Because if I have a massive chunk just sitting there, we'll just pay off all the debt right now. And I could just go back to normal. Like, I could go back to just my 9 to 3 job.
Yeah.
And like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because now we're not normal anymore. Yeah. Because we don't have any debt.
Exactly.
And so,
and dude, that's the mindset shift.
Yeah.
That it was like when I was still working at GCU, still doing Dream City, like, and doing these other things. The mindset shift that I took, like that I was there of like, not that you care less, but it puts it into perspective of like, do I need to invest as much emotional and mental capacity into this to make it succeed? No. Like, and that's again where it's like, I love having all my clients because it's like, I have my not compartmentalized, but it's like, I have my time investment that it's like, once I'm done with that, they've got the deliverables, like everything's done. I don't have to stress about it. I don't have to. Yeah.
And exactly. I love since I've been here, it doesn't feel like that you work because you can piece it so much.
Yeah.
And that also helps because you're not doing 4 different businesses daily. Like, you kind of have your main thing and you've got a really good thing going with that, with time spent and all of that. But I have found it hard, like, and maybe it's just because it's for one company and you have someone else telling you like what you have to do, and then you have like this pressure of, and then it changes your mindset. Whereas, if you're if you have a rental company or if you have a rental property, you have your Apple IT, thing.
Yep.
Like, your daily grind, you're still trading your hours, but it's a lot less hours for a lot more reward. So like, that's your daily, but then you have these other things back here cooking and simmering. So it allows you to a little bit more headspace. Because eventually, like this, there will be a point that you're like, I could probably like train somebody and they could just start doing this for me.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then he's going to, and I pop in and make sure he's running my business for me.
Yeah.
Like, he's sitting down with clients. It takes a massive investment to do that.
Not as big as you think.
Well, like, to build it to where they're running it, it does.
Yeah.
Like, they're meeting with clients, they're setting it up. Like, because that was always the thing with business owners that I talked to, that they just struggled. They could never scale their business because they didn't know how to teach someone to do that.
And that to me is the key. Is like it, and I know we talked about E-Myth Revisited a little bit, but creating systems around it is like, and I almost, if you want to pause and we can come back to that, like we can, if you got to pee that bad. But it's like creating systems around what you do allows to take anybody and make them extraordinary.
Yes, which is why, like, and that's the big thing. I have a resume written up that it's all skills based, but like what I put on there a ton is I know how to build systems to help build people.
Yeah.
And so, and it's like any company that's worth their salt and they see the results that I wrote on it, they're going to hire me. Yeah. So that also tells me like the companies that I was applying to were not going to be a good fit for me because it doesn't allow me to actually flex that part of what I actually am pretty good at.
Yeah.
To see, you've seen the book with, it's got the wheels on it, not StrengthsFinder, Geniuses, Working Geniuses.
I haven't seen it.
Bro, you got to check out Working Geniuses.
Yeah.
Because it kind of tells, and there's nothing, it's not science-based or anything. It was just observationally based. That there's 6 different ways that people accomplish work. Like, there's 6 sections of accomplishing something.
Yeah.
From I see the problem to the problem is fixed.
Yeah.
So you have where I'm good, and I don't remember all the other ones and what they're called, but where I'm really good is saying I see a problem and then coming up with a way to fix it. I'm really, really, really good at that.
Yeah.
What I'm not good at is actually getting it up off the ground. And so that's where this business guy, he asked me what my working genius was. And he was like, because I have a feeling it's not XYZ.
Yeah.
And he said, and that's what I do really well.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't necessarily see the problem.
Yeah.
But he can come up with a way to fix it and he can implement it. And so,
totally.
learning that from him